Imagine standing in a small workshop where the smell of hot metal mixes with the smoke from the burner and the pungent smell of machine oil. The floor creaks under your feet, and hammers and wrenches jingle on the walls. He works there, a young, kind, sincere man who always helps others even when he himself is barely making ends meet. His dream is to create a car that will drive itself, without a horse. But imagine how difficult it is. His peers laugh at him every day. "There you go again with your nonsense," they shout, pushing his models and scattering parts. Friends who should support him turn away because they don't understand his ideas. And even adults who should help only shrug their shoulders. It's useless. And yet he returns to his little workshop, wipes away his tears, picks up the hammer and gears again, and continues to work. Every sound, the rumble of a hammer, the grinding of gears, the smoke of a burner, becomes his music, his rhythm of struggle. Every detail he fixes, every small step forward, despite the ridicule, becomes a victory. His heart is open to people. He helps his neighbors fix their small mechanisms, shares his knowledge with younger ones, advises other craftsmen, even when he himself needs help. And it is this kindness, this constant choice to do the right thing, not the easy thing, that becomes his strength. Today we will tell you the story of this man and how his small workshop, full of noise, smoke, and the laughter of his evil peers, became the beginning of a great revolution in the world. It will be a story about faith in oneself, about the human spirit, about defeats and triumphs, about crisis and inspiration, and that true success is born where there is the courage to help others and not give up. So stay with us. Ahead are the falling models, the first failed attempts, the roar of engines, the risks and small joys that grow to a great triumph. You will feel how a dream is born, confronts the world, and changes everything around. There, amidst the noise of hammers and the grinding of gears, he works, a young man who always helps others, even when he himself is barely making ends meet. His dream seemed unreal, to create a car that will drive itself, without a horse. But for him it is not just a mechanism. It is freedom, it is movement forward, it is a chance to change the lives of people around him. Reality was cruel. His peers laughed and even beat his models. They pushed him, scattered parts, mocked every drawing. "You're back with this nonsense." Shouts could be heard in the yard, and adults only shrugged their shoulders. "This is useless. No one will believe in your idea." His family worried about him, because every day brought new debts and failures. The engineering challenges were immense. The engine refused to work, the wheels broke under the weight of the structure, and the metal constantly cracked. He could have broken down in despair, but instead he began to look for a solution. Each failure was a lesson: a faulty gear, a crack in a metal wheel, a small burner exploding, and he started over, learning from his mistakes and becoming stronger. Every day he did something small, but from the heart. He repaired the mechanisms of his neighbors, advised younger craftsmen, shared his knowledge, even when he needed help himself. His kindness became his strength, because when the whole world said no, he remained faithful not only to his dream, but also to the people around him. The first successes were tiny, almost imperceptible. He was able to get the first wheels turning, but the engine still wouldn't work. He stood in the workshop at night, his hands burning on hot metal, and felt tired, doubtful, and afraid. But the deputy, and it was these small steps, these late-night struggles, and constant kindness to others that prepared him to turn his dream into reality. He learned one important lesson: no one can help you more than yourself, but by helping others, you find allies and the inner strength to get you through even the darkest days. Here, in this humble workshop, a story is born that will change the world. And now, when we see his first unsuccessful attempts, we understand. Every defeat is a stepping stone to triumph. There are still many falls and rises ahead, but he has already taken the first step, and this step will forever leave a mark on history. When his first prototypes began to move over short distances, Many expected that the story would go smoothly. But the world, as always, turned out to be harsh. Competitors who saw his success tried to frame him, copy his ideas, or discredit him. Peers who had previously laughed now raised a fuss and tried to hinder him at every step. "It's none of your business. Leave it," they shouted, throwing stones and trying to destroy the first wheels. The adults were no kinder. Officials blocked access to materials, said the machine was dangerous, and investors refused to invest because it was a waste of resources. He faced technical failures every night. The engine boiled, the metal cracked, the gears broke. Each breakdown could ruin months of work. Sometimes he would go home exhausted, heartbroken, wondering if he should continue. But it was in these crises that he found strength. He noticed how the neighbors he had previously helped fix things appeared next to him with new advice and support. He realized that the kindness he sowed in the world returned 100-fold. And with each new attempt, he became stronger, smarter, more creative. The moment when one of his first prototypes exploded during a test was especially difficult. The fire, smoke, and clanking of metal could have broken anyone. But he didn't give up. He got together with a small team, and they began to analyze every detail, every element of the design. It was like a rebirth. Instead of stopping, he drew conclusions, corrected mistakes, and turned failure into fuel for new ideas. Here, in this chaos and noise, a true hero is born. His strength was not only in his hands and knowledge, but in his heart, in his ability to remain kind, honest, and help others even in the darkest moments. He learned to see opportunities where others saw the end, and understood crises are not punishments, but lessons that lead to triumph. It was a time when the small workshop became a place of real struggle. And it was through these first crises that he made his greatest breakthrough. He realized that a real car must be born not only of metal and gears, but of patience, courage, and kindness. After months of failure and constant attacks from critics, he finally did it. The little wheels of his first prototype turned, the engine started, and the car slowly moved forward. It wasn't much, just a few meters across the dusty workshop yard. But to him, it was a triumph. The joy was overwhelming. He jumped with excitement. His neighbors and junior craftsmen, who had previously laughed, now looked on with amazement and admiration. Some even cried, because they saw how a man who did not give up despite ridicule and blows of fate was able to prove that the impossible becomes possible. But the first success brought new challenges. The machine was fragile, the engine overheated, the wheels often broke. And what he feared most happened. One night someone broke into the workshop and deliberately broke his prototype. The metal bent, the gears broke, and the engine remained intact, but hopelessly inoperable. The hero discovered this early in the morning, and his heart clenched with pain, and his eyes filled with tears. Many would have given up at that moment, but he didn't flinch. He wiped away his tears, gathered his friends and team, and began to disassemble every broken part. Every gear, every crack became a lesson. He analyzed how to make the design more reliable and protect future prototypes from the hands of those who didn't believe in his dream. At the same time, his kindness and sincerity worked for him. Those he had helped before now helped him. They brought materials, advised on new ways of processing metal, and supported him morally. He understood, true strength lies not only in hands and mind, but in trust and community. A symbolic moment of this period occurred one evening. He showed the car to a little boy from a neighboring yard. The boy touched the wheel, and the hero's eyes lit up with pride and warmth. He understood. His invention was not for fame, not for money, but for people, to make life easier and more interesting. This first step forward taught him several key things. That even after serious setbacks, whether technical or human, you can move on if you stay true to your dream. That small victories are the foundation for big ones. And that true strength lies in resilience, kindness, and the ability to unite people around a common goal. And while there were many more setbacks and trials ahead, This moment was the point where the dream began to come to life. He now knew that if he could overcome the night's destruction and setbacks, the world would be forced to take notice of his invention. After the night of sabotage and all the failures, the hero didn't just restore his prototype, he made it stronger. Now he knew that a real revolution needed a team, and he began to look for those who shared his ideas and were ready to take risks with him. Friends, former skeptics, and even those who once mocked him became his allies. Together they planned every step, every experiment, every mechanism. The small workshop could no longer accommodate all the ideas and parts. He rented the first large room, where machine tools, parts warehouses, and testing space appeared. The noise of the machines, the roar of engines, the smell of oil and hot metal now sounded like the music of the future. And although the work became more difficult, the team felt that they were doing something more than just a machine. They were building a new era. But the transformation was not without drama. Competitors began to threaten, tried to steal the drawings. Officials refused to issue the necessary permits. One day, several people broke into the workshop, trying to take away the prototype, but the hero, together with the team, risking his own safety, defended his work. It was a symbolic moment. He understood that managing his project means leading, not following. At the same time, he remained kind and sincere. Even after conflicts, he helped young craftsmen, advised neighbors, and taught those who sincerely sought knowledge. His philosophy became clear: to create not only a machine, but value for people. And it was this principle that made his team invincible. The symbolic decision that changed everything became apparent the moment they first assembled several cars at once. He decided not to sell them for profit, but to show the world that technology could serve people. This step became iconic. His car is not just a mechanism, but an idea that unites human talent, courage, and kindness. The Great Transformation taught him several key things: that large-scale work requires a team, that risks are part of the journey, and that leadership is not about giving orders, but about the ability to lead, defend your ideas, and stay true to your principles. And although a global breakthrough was still ahead, it was already clear. The dream that had once been born in a small workshop had become the beginning of something grandiose, and the world was gradually beginning to notice his invention. The world finally saw his work. After years of failures, sleepless nights, broken prototypes, and constant skepticism, the moment came when the small workshop became the center of attention. At a major invention exhibition, he stood next to his machine, and the first spectators could hardly believe their eyes. A three-wheeled car, the engine roared, the wheels turned on their own, and it moved without a horse. It was the first truly working gasoline-powered car. Journalists immediately approached, trying to get a word out of the man who had turned the idea of transportation upside down. "What did you call this invention?" one of them asked. He smiled and calmly replied, "It's the Benz patent motor wagon. For me, it's not just a car, it's a symbol of a new dawn, the beginning of an era where movement and freedom become available to everyone." The audience applauded, the children laughed, touching the wheels, and he stood nearby, feeling a mixture of joy and humble pride. He did not seek fame. It was important to him that his invention helped people, that this machine became a part of everyday life, and not just an object of admiration. His heart beat with happiness, because he saw in this recognition not only of his own work, but also of all those people who supported him on his way. But the global breakthrough did not come without new challenges. Competitors immediately tried to copy the idea, claiming that it was a temporary fad, and some investors demanded quick profits and compromises. He was offered to simplify the design, reduce parts, make the car cheaper and less reliable. But he refused. "The Benz patent motor wagon must be reliable and safe for people," he said. "I will not compromise on quality, even if it means taking risks." One evening, after the exhibition, he gave an interview for a major magazine. The camera shone directly on his face. and he spoke calmly, but with a light in his eyes. This car is not for fame or fortune. It is for people, for children who once saw a strange neighbor who was always working in the workshop, for neighbors who I taught to fix their mechanisms, for everyone who dreams and is ready to fight for their dreams. The Benz patent motor wagon is the beginning of a new era. His words resonated in the hearts of the audience. People saw not just a mechanism, but a man who had gone through endless nights of work, technical disasters, broken prototypes, and even night attacks on the machine. Everyone remembered how he got up after every fall, fixed engines, changed gears, learned from mistakes, and did not give up. Every step, every little thing that he had perfected in his workshop was now coming to life before the eyes of the world. Especially memorable was the moment when the little boy who had once touched the wheel of his first prototype in the workshop yard was sitting in the first production Benz patent motor wagon. His eyes shone with delight, and laughter filled the hall. The hero looked at this and understood. His invention is not just a mechanism, but a bridge between dream and reality, between past and future, between human perseverance and the power of community. The breakthrough taught him another lesson. Success is not just a technical triumph, but a human one. Recognition comes not through wealth or fame, but through the impact on people's lives and the ability to remain honest and kind in all circumstances. He continued to help young craftsmen, advise neighbors, and share knowledge even when he himself had enormous responsibility. And although there were still modern challenges ahead, scaling up production, new technologies, competition, and even criticism, the world could no longer ignore his idea. The Benz patent motor wagon became a symbol of the revolution in transportation, an example of how even one desperate dreamer can change the world if he is not afraid of difficulties and always remains true to his principles. The global breakthrough taught him several key things. Small victories lead to big ones. Kindness and sincerity always come back 100-fold. Risks and crises are fuel for growth. And most importantly, a true leader leads, protects ideas and people around him, and does not look for easy ways. Today, the Benz patent motor wagon is not just a car. It is a story of courage, resilience, kindness, and the human spirit that does not give up even in the face of the impossible. When the world looks at this invention, it sees more than metal and wheels. It sees the heart of a man who decided to change history. And everyone who listens to this story can learn a lesson. A dream born in a small workshop amidst the noise of hammers and bullying from peers can change the world if nurtured with faith, diligence, and kindness. After the Benz patent motor wagon was first seen at the exhibition and he was interviewed, attitudes towards him began to change. At first, neighbors and acquaintances looked at him skeptically. "What are you doing? It's impossible." Those who had laughed began to quietly become curious, peering into the workshop, watching every movement of his hands. Now that his invention had come to life and demonstrated practical value, attitudes changed from cautious curiosity to respect and admiration. Former skeptics began to seek his advice, neighbors became his allies, and young craftsmen sought opportunities to learn their craft from him. His name was now spoken with respect, not derision. But with recognition came new challenges. People wanted quick results, mass production, sales, profits. Competitors were even more eager to copy his ideas, and government officials were imposing new requirements on vehicle safety and registration. He knew it was time to scale up the project, but not at the expense of principles. At night, he often sat in the workshop, surrounded by the smell of hot metal, reviewing drawings and planning new models. Each new prototype became a little more reliable, a little faster, a little more elegant. And even when the pressure was fierce, he remained kind and sincere. He helped colleagues, advised young inventors, supported those who failed. His kindness became part of the legend. People saw that success did not spoil him, did not make him proud or alienated. The world began to respect not only his invention, but also the man who created it. He was called an innovator with a heart, a man who changes history with his hands and soul. Exhibitions, magazines, letters from delighted children and adults confirmed that he had become a symbol of courage, patience, and kindness. But these new challenges required not only patience, but also strategy. He built a team that could work independently, delegate responsibilities, and improve technology. The production system grew, and even as it grew in scale, he remained accessible, open, and human. His example inspired others. A true leader is not someone who commands, but someone who leads and lifts others. The first international order was a symbolic moment. People from other cities and even countries approached him to order a Benz patent motor wagon. He felt proud and responsible at the same time. His invention began to change not only the lives of the locals, but also the world around him. This period taught him several important lessons. That true recognition comes through work and principles. That even after success, new challenges remain. That kindness and sincerity are not weaknesses, but strengths. And that a person's impact on the world is measured not only by their achievements, but also by how they treat others. And although he faced new challenges, technological, social, economic, the world already saw in him not just an inventor, but a man who changed history with his heart and mind at the same time. He taught us that success is not only the triumph of machines and mechanisms, but also the triumph of spirit, courage, and the ability to remain good even in the most difficult times.